Oh yes, BCB, Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra. Welcome to BCB, the people's voice, the people's quest. Freedom is our drive. Freedom is our quest. Freedom is our dream. A lot has been happening lately, and we are here to present you with the truth, the absolute truth, the voice of the people that you will never hear anywhere else. Come join us, come one, come all, irrespective of your affiliation in the struggle, your voice is here. BCB, the people's voice. Freedom is drive. Freedom is our quest. Freedom is our dream. BCB. Stay tuned for the people's voice.
Blessed King of Mercy, everlasting Creator, you are the Chi-Okike. You are the God, the eternal Father, the idea behind every positiveness of life, the intelligence behind every positive actions and manifestations. We thank you this morning, this wonderful day of Wednesday, the 6th of January 2021, as we sit down as a nation of great minds, as a nation of great people, as a nation of positive, prolific, and blissful makers of goodness, which is your nation, Biafra, to listen to this wonderful documentation from the archives of history via the mouthpiece of the nation, BCB. Father, we say, may your name be glorified. Continue to lead us in all things. Continue to be the finger and the shadow behind the victory of this very project. We know that, oh Lord, whatever is committed unto your hand is never a waste and can never be destroyed. Therefore, at this moment, as many and the ears that shall listen to this broadcast, let there be a broader mind, a spectrum of understanding. Let there be a great orientation into our positive minds. And the crew you have assembled together for this wonderful work, may you continue to bless them, prosper every department of the team, and bring us victory in its total fold, that our people's freedom shall in earnesty be achieved through your godly values. Thank you, Father, for hearing our prayers in Jesus' name. Amen.
Land of the rising sun, we long and cherish, beloved home, land of our brave heroes. We must defend our lives, so we shall perish. We shall protect our hearts from all our foes. But if the price is death for all withholding, then let us die without a shred of fear. Help to be Bliss of free shall always be a flag of liberty.
Welcome to BCB, the Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra, the voice of our people. The following are the special New Year 2021 programs we have prepared for your listening pleasure and information this very new year. We have already taken our opening prayers and our national anthem. We will be bringing to you immediately after this announcement, news from our land, and that will be followed by other programs. Music interlude follows after this announcement, which will be followed by the Why of Biafra. The Why of Biafra will be followed by another music interlude, followed by Why of Biafra again, and music. Documentaries from the archives follows with more music, and voice from our land, the land of Biafra, will also be followed by some soft music. Poetry, words of wisdom follows after this, and the Biri can Biri, live and let live music follows. And that's how we are going to round up today's broadcast. Have a wonderful day and a bountiful new year to remember. From the studio of BCB, we are wishing you a happy new year and happy listening. This is Ikechukwu Ezerora of BCB, wishing you a happy new year.
This is Rose Ama coming to you from the Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra, BCB, bringing you news, cultural, educational, and children's programs. BCB January 1, 2021 news broadcast, as compiled by a man, Etubom Udo Udofia. Fellow Biafrans, Happy New Year from the Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra, BCB. I pray that the year 2021 be good for us Biafrans and bring us 1 year closer to our independence and self-rule. First, while other parts of Nigeria are enjoying a good railroad service and the construction of new railroad networks, the old Eastern region, now Biafra, continues to lack good rail services and new constructions. The President of Nigeria, Mr. Buhari, no doubt denies Biafra land this and many other infrastructures to punish us. It will not be well for him and his country in 2021. The Coalition of Southeast Youth Leaders, COSEL, has condemned the start of Operation Crocodile Smile 6 in Biafra land. The President General of COSEL, Mazi Goodluck Ibem, described the operation as a calculated attempt to use brute force against Biafrans. The Nigerian government has announced that the passports of citizens who failed to undergo compulsory COVID-19 tests upon their return to Nigeria will be suspended. An estimated 100 returnees will be affected by the suspension. In other news, an estimated 10 million children in Nigeria, Burkina Faso, and 6 other African nations will suffer acute malnutrition in 2021. The United Nations Children's Education Fund, UNICEF, made this prediction without revealing their reasons or research that led them to this conclusion. The TIV Youth Council Worldwide, TYC, has thrown its support for the Christmas message by the Bishop of the Diocese of Sokoto, Bishop Matthew Kuka, to President Buhari on the state of Nigeria. Bishop Kuka, in his message, condemned the Nswan-led faction in Nigeria. TYC gave Bishop Kuka this support and commendation for what they called telling the truth while reacting to a faulting faction of their group, which has condemned Bishop Kuka's message. Finally, unknown gunmen in Owerri kidnapped the auxiliary bishop of the Archdiocese of Owerri, Most Reverend Moses Chikwe. Most Reverend Chikwe was kidnapped along with his driver on the night of Sunday, December 27th, 2020. Presently, there is a mixed reporting about the fate of Most Reverend Chikwe. While some reporting claimed that he was murdered and his body has been recovered, other sources report that Most Reverend Chikwe is still alive. This is the end of this news broadcast compiled by Etubom Udo Udofia. Happy New Year, fellow Biafrans. This is the Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra, BCB. I am Rose Ama. Stay awake.
Oh yes, BCB, Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra. Welcome to BCB, the people's voice, the people's square. Freedom is our drive. Freedom is our quest. Freedom is our dream. A lot has been happening lately, and we are here to present you with the truth, the absolute truth, the voice of the people that you will never hear anywhere. Come join us, come one, come up, irrespective of your affiliation in the struggle, your voice is here. BCB, the people's voice. Freedom is right. Freedom is our quest. Freedom is our BCB. Stay tuned for the people's voice.
This is Rose Ama coming to you from the Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra, BCB, bringing you news, cultural, educational, and children's programs. Today we address the question, why Biafra? Our topic today is redirecting the energies of the struggle and refocusing the vision. In 1967, Biafrans were not safe anywhere in Nigeria outside the East. The war that was fought was a war of survival and self-defense. Biafrans defended themselves with bare hands. To have held out for almost 3 years against the combined forces of Nigeria, Britain, and Russia was a miracle that has baffled the world and confounded the Nigerian state. In declaring no victor, no vanquished after Biafra capitulated, a statement had been made to the effect that Biafrans were not mere animals to be hunted and killed at will without recourse to self-defense. So we might ask, how have Biafrans fared since the war? What factors rekindled the agitation for the restoration of the nation of Biafra several decades after the war? Noting that there have always been killings of Ndi in Nigeria, even before the much touted coup of January 1966, we want to explore the unanswered questions of why Ndi have continued to migrate to those areas where they are killed and their wealth plundered. from Oso Metasin to Oso Abiola, through Oso Boko Haram, and many more. Our people are killed. The survivors run to the east, only to return to the very places where they were killed. What is the attraction in the lands of their sojourn? Is there something that can be done to replicate in our region, whatever it is, that lures our people to those other regions? These questions form the crux of this essay today. This essay will also propose an economic vision or strategy that aims at getting things done the right way in order to secure our lives, our future, and the future of our children and the next generation. So let's begin. Lack of income generating opportunities in our region. What are the factors that create jobs and income generating opportunities in a nation or region? They include the presence of industries, a large population that supports e-commerce or commercial activities. Third, regular power supply. And four, human resources and banks. In all these, human resources play the greatest role. Human resources drive the rest of the other factors. Without human resources, an economy cannot drive itself. But our vast human resources have not been deployed to the benefit of the development of our region. Rather, we have migrated to other regions and have been major forces in the development of those regions, to the detriment of our own homeland. The best our people do is to come home occasionally, build imposing edifices, and lock them up and migrate again. We need to remember that empty buildings are nothing without human beings. In fact, if you leave empty buildings long enough without the presence of humans, they will go into disrepair and might even collapse. So how do we attract people back home? We cannot hope to remain in exile and restore Biafra. Now, imagine that we had a world standard industrial megacity in the heart of the Eastern region. And by Eastern region here, we refer to the region that includes the present Southeast and the South-South. Imagine, therefore, that this megacity is well equipped with world standard state-of-the-art industrial machines that can fabricate everything from pin to motor vehicles or even aircrafts, and everything from face wipe to the most sophisticated apparel are also designed and made here. Is there really any nation more fashionable and fashion conscious than Biafra nation today? Imagine that this mega commercial industrial city employs people on pay-as-you-work basis. Everybody from the local vulcanizer and roadside mechanic to the high-tech engineers, each earning according to work done. These mega industrial cities would produce enough for local needs and surplus for export. The efforts or energy which our people expend in Kano, Abuja, and Lagos can now be rechanneled to our own land. When once the masses can earn enough to live relatively comfortable lives, their minds would be healed and they would cease to be willing tools in the hands of exploitative politicians. A mega industrial city or center promises to reverse the trend of mass exodus from the east to Lagos, Abuja, and Kano, or beyond the shores of Nigeria. Another area to consider is mechanized and industrialized agriculture with modern methods and improved seeds, crops, and processing methods. Today, young graduates and school leavers abhor agriculture because it is still practiced at the subsistence level with hoes and machetes. It is thus considered a poor person's occupation. But to have an agricultural revolution will mean reorganizing agriculture and practicing it the way it is done in the industrialized world. We need to engage our chemical and agricultural engineers to come up with the best crop species, machinery, and methods that will ensure optimum yield per acre of land for each crop, and map out the best areas for cropping, for animal husbandry, and fisheries. To achieve this objective, of course, people will need to be trained to drive the vision. The best equipment will also need to be procured. So, how do we tackle the constraints we face? Are there laws or policies of the Nigerian state that may hinder us from going ahead to implement our plans? The lawyers among us can study the laws of the land and advise us on possible ways to circumvent running afoul of the laws. We are aware that a lot has already been written on economic development of the Eastern region. But what has not been done is mapping out strategies for financing the lofty ideas. We are not here to reinvent the wheel, but to apply the basic principles of that will to drive our economic vision for Biafra land. So paramount to achieving Biafra is financial or economic freedom for the people. This cannot be achieved from local and international exile. Our people are on self-imposed exile, occasioned by the harsh economic realities of our region. We must begin to think home and reach home more often than we have done so far. It is often said that where there is the will, there must be a way. We have the will. Therefore, there is a way. We must find that way. The beginning of this economic revolution may not be easy. It may not present a smooth or sweet ride, but in the end, we shall succeed. It is our job to prepare the ground, to lay the economic foundation upon which the nation of Biafra will stand. As an independent nation, Biafra will not live on handouts or on aids from other nations. Rather, we are going to be productive enough to have surplus that can be lent to other nations at a profit. This means that we have to take measured steps. We do not need to be in a hurry to confront Nigeria or any other nation militarily or politically. We rather need to make some sacrifices and build our economic base, empower people with regular means of livelihood, free our people from poverty mentality, and ensure that they are free from prebendable tendencies. Gradually, our people will build a formidable economic force that can bring down the political structure at will, because we will no longer depend on Abuja's handouts for our livelihood and for the development of our region. This is where we must channel our energies and build alliances. The masses of Nigerians in general suffer the same injustices that people in the East suffer. Those who share our resources collectively oppress us and set us against one another. When the National Assembly is making dubious laws that rape the economy, granting themselves millions of naira, none of its members protests against the 18,000 naira minimum wage. In fact, their dogs and other pets receive better care than the average Nigerian. Yet, we believe that our problems are caused by the average Yoruba or Hausa. The Hausa masses are just as deprived as any other person. They are victims of the ruling class. Even an average herdsman is harmless until he is radicalized and militarized by the ruling powers. Therefore, we need to stop focusing on the average human from other tribes. He or she is not our problem. Rather, we must channel our energy to combating our economic challenges. Finally, to make the point clearer, the experience of 1967 will not be repeated because this is the 21st century. Weapons of aggression have gone beyond what they were in the 20th century. Our reason for emphasizing industrializing our region is not necessarily so that we won't be forced to lose our properties in other regions in the event of hostilities. Rather, it is our right to develop our region. It is our right to build the headquarters of our concerns in Biafra. Yes, we can fan out and build distribution outlets in other regions, but the headquarters needs to be in our land. That way, we shall be standing on solid ground should hostilities break out. We shall be negotiating from a vantage position when it gets to the point of negotiation. As things stand now, we are disadvantaged at all fronts. We must correct this anomaly through economic revolution. We must begin to prepare our people by offering them the right trainings in economic understanding. And those with trainings and talents must prepare to use them to serve our nation. It is time to stop wrangling and squabbling amongst ourselves. When we have succeeded at the economic front, we can present a united political front at the international level. This is how to redirect the energies of the struggle and refocus the vision. This is Rose Ama. Thank you for listening. This is the Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra, BCB.
Oraniye alatameye. Eh, eh, eh. Alawalama. Igo narima. Alawalama. Igo narima. Igo narima. Alawalama. Eh. Igo narima. Eh. Baby alatameye. Eh, eh, eh. So me all out me ye, or the mabiki going to me ye. So me all out me ye, 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 ye. Mama, mama, Ori alada memo, ori going to memo. Alada memo, ori going to memo. Ori alada memo, ori going to memo. Alada memo, ori going to memo. Alada memo, ori going to memo. Alada memo, ori going to memo.
January 15, 1966 comes a twist that upset the peace in the Nigerian military circle, with some young officers led by Major Chukwuma Kaduna Nzogu, an Igbo officer from present-day Okpanam in Delta State, staging a coup d'etat against the then civilian government, killing dozens of people, including the Prime Minister of Nigeria, Tafawa Balewa, many senior politicians, senior army officers, many of them from the north. The officer gave reasons for the coup to include massive corruption and abuse of office. General Johnson Aguiyi Ironsi, who was the most ranking military officer, then assumes office. July 1966, the counter coup which cut short the regime of General Ironsi, and then the emergence of Lieutenant Colonel Yakubu Gowon. Earlier, during the riot of May 1966, thousands of Easterners, mostly Igbos, were killed in many northern cities, especially in Kaduna, Kano, and Jos. The coming of Gowon to power did not stop the systematic killings. Such was the horror that attended Gowon's early days in office. By the end of 1966, thousands of refugees who were pouring into the east returned with tales of horror. A decision was then taken that soldiers and civilians should return to their region of origin. At a summit in Benin, the permanent secretaries presented a paper to Gowon that all the 4 regional military governors be replaced and new regions created to form 12 states in the federating unit. Although Ojukwu was absent at the meeting, he rejected the outcome and declared the Republic of Biafra.
The war just didn't start like that. There were stages. Things were happening, and then there were a number of conferences trying to stop it. But instead of getting better, it was getting worse. And there was preparation for war on both sides. We all knew this. And when it broke out, actually just before it broke out, Ojukwu, who was the leader on the Biafran side, decided to release those of us who were in prison
were in detention by Ironsi's government, and we were on the eastern side of the country at the time. So this was the area of jurisdiction of Lieutenant Colonel Ojukwu. Of course, he knew he wasn't doing it just to favor us. He knew that we would be useful to him in the war.
Other unresolved issues were the ethno-religious riots in northern Nigeria, alleged persecution of Igbos living in northern Nigeria, and control of the oil-rich Niger Delta. To settle a growing national instability, political negotiations, including the famous Aburi Accord, were initiated, but none could assuage the thirst of the Easterners for our secession.
Various political attempts were made to solve the problem, going even to Aburi, meeting, the disagreement there, which really came about the interpretation what Aburi meant. And from Ojukwu, he says, on Aburi we stand. And I say, from Aburi you will fall.
Lieutenant Colonel Chukwuemeka Ojukwu declares the Republic of Biafra, and this was resisted by the federal government, resulting in the war from 1967 to 1970. There was a pogrom, mass starvation, leading to death of over 2 million civilians, including women and children.
The civil war, unfortunately, had to happen as a result of breakdown of that Aburi agreement. Despite effort that was made, to see if we can reconcile our differences and really save a very serious situation. But it got to the stage whereby Ojukwu, got his Constituent Assembly to give him the go-ahead to break away from Nigeria.
While the Nigerian military had all the firepower to execute the war, the Biafran soldiers largely depended on the ingenuity of its people, who went into research and production of war equipment.
I was selected to be one of those to join research production. Professor Pius Okeke was in physics. He's a nuclear physicist. He's a professor, he retired. He was selected also, and then one professor here is an energy specialist. Three of us were all who I remember who were selected to work with research production as students. So most of us, I was there. I was part of the team that produced all the bombs, all the rockets, all those equipments. There was another team that was producing armored vehicles. So they are producing armored vehicles. We use Caterpillar. This tractor. This is a Caterpillar that run on wheel to produce armored vehicles. So Biafra produced all these equipments, and then we were able to sustain the war for that period of time.
The Eva Valley headquarters of research and production, also known as PRODA, had the best hands, some of whom came from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. 78-year-old Emeka Onyiso, who witnessed the war, sheds light on how they operated.
It will surprise you what they were able to accomplish. One of the most outstanding accomplishments was what was branded Obunigwe. I'm sure you must have heard about it. And various other things. Ubunigwe is a cone-shaped, sometimes cylindrical cluster bomb that disperses shrapnel with percussion. They even went as far as not only making these bombs, but providing guidance for quite some distance. And that's not a joke. That's not a joke. Within the short time they had to make them and use them, we had no option other than to refine crude petroleum for movement. Movement inside Biafra was maintained because our people were able to refine petrol into gas and petrol and the rest of it.
The major operational base, the famous Ojuku Bunker and the Voice of Biafra, now houses the National War Museum. We're housing some of the relics of the Civil War, including the very famous Obunigwe.
In the army section, you have the armored cars. Then at the annex is the Obunigwe. The mass killer, two of them flying Obunigwe and in his sitting place. Then these armored cars, majority of them were manufactured by the defunct Biafra. Then some of them were captured by the Nigerians or by the Biafran during the war course, even including the one they captured at Uguta, they call Uguta Boy, and even the gunboat they sunk at Uguta Lake, which is still there. We made a platform to exhibit it until it is brought. So all these ones were war relics. And I want to point out that recently the army came and also helped us to maintain it.
Though the museum now wears a toga commemorating a peaceful and unified Nigeria, our tour shows the magnitude of effort put in by the Biafrans towards self-actualization. The Biafran army also built an airstrip in Uli in Anambra State, where fighter jets took off and landed. Today, urban renewal and development is kicked in, with numerous houses encroaching. But there are now calls for it to be added on the list of national monuments.
When we lost Enugu Airport, of course, we had to refer to Uli. We started using it. And because the Nigerian Air Force had superiority over Biafra, that time we didn't have even, we didn't have any aircraft. So they could come in broad daylight, start strafing or bombing or doing anything they liked. What we had to do was use machine guns. And that's no answer. Then we started acquiring aircraft, the one we call mini coin. They will take off, come to the sneak to the target, shoot them, and they're gone.
The airstrip, to my mind, and to any good Igbo man, served wonderful purpose for the Biafran survival. The airstrip served as a place through which relief came into this place. Despite the fact that they were pursued, the planes were pursued by the federal troops. The Biafran intelligence unit had to construct what they call a bunker, the first time in history of the world, where it had a bunker so that once the plane lands, it runs into a bunker so that the overriding of our intruding plane does not catch it.
One of the sore points of the Biafra Civil War is the Asaba massacre of October 1967. It remains a sad commentary to the nation, and many who witnessed the incident believe the nation must not go through a similar path. Chief Philip Asiodu is an elder statesman, Professor Patutomi, a political economist, and Boniface Chizie is an economist, all of them indigenes of present-day Delta states.
When, as should be expected, the Biafrans then embarked on asymmetric warfare. So, guerrilla warfare, hit and run. So they come in the night, they will hit Nigerian soldiers, kill some of them and disappear. Out of that anger and fury that they've killed them, they'll be looking for any man that's in sight was targeted. And many Asaba men, able-bodied men, were killed. I remember vividly on 2 occasions I had gone to school. I went to school to teach and got stuck in the school. And got stuck in the school for quite some time, because it wasn't safe to leave the school and go back home.
One night, I crossed the Niger in a canoe from what was the Biafran side onto a war theater on the other side, what was the Midwest. And when I crossed, we had this horrible incident in Asaba where there had been a massacre of people who had come out to demonstrate, to wave, to welcome the federal troops that were approaching Asaba. And men were lined up this way, women this way, and cold-blooded slaughter of thousands of people, literally. And so here I was coming to Asaba with a group of friends, family. We're trying to cross from one part of the road to the other, from the bush, the jungle, as it were, and crossing the road that led from Asaba through Ibuza, Washi, down, and we were, quote unquote, captured. And we were lined up, men this way, women this way, and some fellow was saying to us, "Where are the rest of the rebels? Where are the rest of the rebels?"
The war ends in 1970 with General Gowon declaring no victor, no vanquished, and instituted what he termed the 3 R's: rehabilitation, reconstruction, and reconciliation.
Your Excellency. Glad to see you again. My pleasure. How are you? Very well indeed. Glad to see you again.
I, Major General Philip Ethium, officer administering the government of the Republic of Biafra, now wish to make the following declaration. That we affirm we are loyal Nigerian citizens and accept the authority of the Federal Military Government of Nigeria.
Materials were given to enable people build back their shacks. But quite interestingly, in places like Lagos, even the people who had properties and gone away, rents were collected, kept intact. When they came back, they were given by the Uncle and others. It's only in Port Harcourt, unfortunately, that they did these abandoned properties and took over people's properties. And the Igbos had developed much of Port Harcourt. That was very, very unfortunate. And we must praise the Igbo man for his courage and resilience. In no time at all, despite the pogroms and all that, they were back in many of these cities.
However, this gesture of no victor, no vanquish was not well executed.
For me, the Civil War never ended. At the end of that war, it never ended. It's still going on. I had no family house. My poor mother went back to claim the property she was beating into a coma by people whom she had helped all her life and sent to school because she's an Igbo woman and now Port Harcourt belonged to another group of people. They forgot the sacrifices that the Igbos made. It's still going on. No apology has ever been made about that.
Unfortunately, after the change of government, with the program that we have, which was going to allow them to be able to be equal in all respect. Unfortunately, yes, those that came probably did not have the belief and the philosophy that we have, that my government have, in order to ensure fairness to every part of Nigeria.
The unity, we saw it from fighting to remain united. We didn't do much in trying to get people to indoctrinate them through political interactions and the rest of them. So the moment you reintroduce politics, the first thing that came to our minds were what political parties and political system used to be before the Civil War. You saw that as a starting point. And once you see that, you could hardly change it.
Some of the combatants and commentators believe that not much has been done in the reconciliation and reintegration process.
How can I forget the past in this condition? Hunger is a disease. I have no food to eat. I will always tell my children this story for the sake of posterity.
Yes. They promised to pay us some compensation. They even asked us to register for it, but nothing has happened since then.
They call for a robust political inclusion and infrastructure development in the Southeast, amongst others.
It's now 50 years after the war, and the reason for the war are still with us. All we are saying is that those issues that made our fathers go for war should be addressed. When there is true reconciliation, all these remnants of ventilation of anger and people venting their anger from this will downs.
5 zones have benefited to serve within this country in the office of the president. The only way to establish that there is no victor, no vanquish is simple. A Southeasterner that will do what the president of Nigeria by 2023.
The people from Biafra, people from the southern region of Nigeria have been calling for roundtable discussion so that we can renegotiate in Nigeria. We can discuss about our future as a people. Like I said earlier, we believe in Nigeria. Here in every part of Nigeria, you will see Biafrans. The Igbo people are there, believing that we are one.
So how best can healing and national reconciliation be achieved?
The challenges we have in this country, apart from the cost of election and what have you, stems from the fact that people stay too long in power, and people do everything to remain in power. Let us do one term. Within that one term, it can go to south, south, southeast, southwest, north central, this, that, and we start all over again. 6 times 6, 36 years. In 36 years, it's gone round all the geopolitical zones, and we start again. By the time we do that, some other people would have gotten sense of belonging. They would have gotten sense of belonging. The Igbos would have been given the opportunity to test power and then let them now decide whether they want to misuse power and forget about it forever, amongst other things. But give them that opportunity.
In 1991, after the return to democracy, Chief Ralph Uwazurike founded the movement for the actualization of the sovereign state of Biafra, MASOB, a group canvassing for the secession and sovereignty of eastern Nigeria. Another group, the Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, with similar objective, was founded by Nnamdi Kanu in 2012. He and his supporters resurfaced the agitation for the sovereign state of Biafra using an underground radio station called Radio Biafra to propagate their ideas. There were also protests, sometimes leading to confrontation with security agencies. In one of the face-off the group had with security agencies in his father's house in Oka, Anambra State, some persons sustained injuries, but government came out strong to deny the allegations, claiming that the group constantly violated the constitution. Eventually, the group was declared a terrorist group and then proscribed. The group has not stopped its agitation, as they now operate more using social media.
For him,
At the recent Never Again conference, some key suggestions on how to forge closer unity among ethnic nationalities in Nigeria were mooted. Many believe that there is need to address the issue of fairness and proper integration of the people from the Southeast.
Nigerians have to reflect on the road we have passed. For example, the proposition can be made that we went to war because there was a failure of leadership. And in saying that, I will remind us that the three regions were really doing very well. The critical question is, why does Nigeria wobble so badly in spite of experience that should be driving it forward, and what can be done about it? I think we can list reasons to include: one, a mistaken view that Nigeria is about how much you can extract from the national cake. A cake to eat makes poor tomorrow, but producing makes rich always. There is a duty that each and every one of us has. It is the duty to believe that it can be different, and that if we can dream it, we can make it happen. We are already in a crisis. If we, in our sober deference to reality, find that we can no longer hold together as one country, then let us together peacefully find a rational solution. And let us never again plunge into any kind of war among us.
The leadership, on whichever side, is about to repeat, yet again, the ultimate folly of sacrificing 2.5 million lives on the altar of absolutes, any absolute whatsoever. We should borrow that African American credo, paint them on prayer scrolls, flood the skies in their millions with kites bearing that inscription, and balloons that read very simply, African lives matter.
Arise, O ye the children of the land of rising sun. There is work to be done in the land of rising sun. Biafra land, Rastafari. Arise!
Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. Unite. 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 Unite.
Them are robbing and stealing in our land, in our land, in the land of rising soul, in the land of Biafra land, in the land of Biafra, yeah. Alright!
Biafra, wake up, wake up, Biafra, wake up,
don't give up,
Biafra, wake up,
don't give up,
Biafra, wake up, wake up, Biafra, wake up, wake up.
See them Babylon men in our land, in our land, in the land of rising soul, looting we land, killing my people, in the land of rising soul, in the land of Biafra land. Alright! Jagai! See them bumbo class in our land, in our land, in the land of rising soul. Raping me sisters, telling me sisters, in our land of rising soul, in the land of the fire. children oppressor men in our land, steady, I and I say river and go in the land of rising soul.
Yeah, from wake up, wake up. Yeah, from wake up, don't give up. Yeah, from wake up, don't give up. Yeah, from wake up, wake up. Yeah, from wake
See the criminals in our land, drilling with oil, selling with land, in the land of rising soul. Amen. Yeah, go tell the children the truth right now. Tell the children the truth right now. No school, no road, no hospitals in the land of rising sun. No justice, no international presence in our land of rising sun. Since 1960, all the buildings prison yard in the land of rising sun. Cement, lamp, and wire, burning fire in our land, in the land of rising soul. Identify yourself anywhere you are. Only the children of the land of rising sun, Ephraim. There is work to be done in the land of rising sun. Even in South Africa, Jamaica, London, New York, Nigeria, all over the world. Don't give up. Fight for your rights.
Yeah, from wake up. Yeah, from wake up. Don't give up. Yeah, from wake up. Don't give up. Yeah, from wake up. Wake up. Yeah, from wake up.
The big house, the Sobakasi land, the Bon Body land, the Bon Popo land, the Bon Jesse land, in the land of rising sun. So children of Igbo land, children of Igbo land, children of Ibibio land, children of Ethnic land, children of Urobo land,
yeah, from where
Anan land, children of Urobo land.
Yeah, from where don't give up. Yeah, from where
This is Voices from Our Land.
Long before recorded history, there lived a coalition of nations east and south of the Great River Niger Bend. They did not just live in close proximity, but were completely intertwined and interrelated biologically, sociologically, anthropologically, and historically, sharing same cosmological view of the world. They acted on their environment and vice versa since time immemorial, establishing a unique form of civilization that placed absolute premium on human life and balance with nature. They were confronted by hundreds of years of the infamous Atlantic slavery and later were steamrolled through force of arms into the British Empire, but as autonomous protectorate of the Niger River and later merged into the protectorate of southern Nigeria. Finally, in 1914, against superior advice, they were forcefully conjoined to the separately run British protectorate of northern Nigeria on the singular reason of using their resources to offset the lack of the Northern Protectorate. Meanwhile, these groups of peoples, wrongfully and forcefully yoked together in Nigeria, never accepted their new subjugated status. They fought British colonialism as one people they were. The major culmination of their quest for independence against the British was the Biafran Women's War of 1929, that for the first time exposed the British colonial underbelly and showed the British and Nigeria how united the Biafran nations were against foreign imposition. Less than 30 years after the Biafran Women's War of 1929, and ably led by Biafran political leaders like Nnamdi Azikiwe, Professor Eyoeta, intellectual leaders like John Pepe Clark, Chinua Achebe et al., Nigeria was granted, in parentheses, independence that became a double jeopardy for Biafra. That is, British sovereignty was replaced with Fulani Islamic sovereignty to the chagrin of Biafran leaders who fought for independence, while their northern Fulani counterparts preferred a continuation of colonial rule. The history of British imposed colonial rule can be summarized as the history of the spoliation of Biafra land for not only British interests, but the interest of the smaller Fulani ethnic group and their poverty-stricken northern protectorate. With independence and power firmly entrenched in the hands of the Fulani backed with British arms, the stage was set for the epic battle for the soul of the nation and for its true independence from Fulani rule. To cleanse the urgent stable, patriotic military revolutionaries from across the new nation struck on January 15, 1966. What was conceived and executed as a pan-Nigerian revolution was turned by Britain and their Fulani oligarchs into an anti-Eastern Nigeria push, ensuing a pogrom against the peoples of Biafra as has never yet been seen in Africa. By January 1970, over 3 million Biafrans had been hacked to death in what became Africa's most horrific civil war. More than 50 years down the line, all the turbulent reasons that gave birth to Biafra, all the reasons, especially cosmological, that has been at the foundation of the agitation for an independent Republic of Biafra did not just remain there, but quadrupled and will continue ad infinitum until Biafrans are completely and totally vanquished, the likelihood which has become impossible, or the crisis continues until independence. While the present agitation is completely violence-free, but visited with violence nonetheless by a blood-soaked Nigeria led by Fulani Islamic fundamentalists, there remains a likelihood of another set, another generation of Biafrans ready to face violence with violence. The implications of the above scenario, when it comes to pass, will be an uncontrolled dismemberment of Nigeria. The consequences of that happening will not be faced by Nigeria alone, but West Africa, Africa, and the entire world. The deluge of tens of millions of refugees such scenario will produce will swamp an already refugee-saturated world. the time not only for Nigeria to do the needful, but the whole world to help persuade this recalcitrant, blood-soaked country hell-bent on establishing an Islamic Fulani empire on the blood of indigenous and original owners of the land is now. Organize a referendum for a peaceful separation of the people of Biafra from Nigeria now, because time ticks. That two incompatible worldviews exist in the contraption called Nigeria can best be seen in their different regards to life and human development. For Biafrans, their worldview on the human person is encapsulated in the idea of Mado or Mando, that is, the beauty of creation, the beauty of life. And so they will rather bend backwards to protect human life. While on the opposite spectrum are the Caliphate North, whose idea of man is beneath that of a cow, and so ever ready to put life to the sword, as we see every day since 1914. Riding on the Biafranist idea that man is the ultimate of creation and needs all developmental aid to live out full productive life, leaders of Biafra in the First Republic, like Professor Eyota and later Dr. M.I. Okpara, set off a blaze of economic development in the then Eastern Nigeria. By 1964, as aptly recorded by a research group in Michigan State University in the United States, Eastern Nigeria was the fastest growing and industrializing economy in the world, ahead of Malaysia, Korea, Taiwan, and Singapore. As described by Professor Anya O. Anya, in one frenetic burst of energy, a wave of maniacal and frenzied activity was ongoing all over Eastern Nigeria. By January 25, 1963, the Michelin factory at Port Harcourt was opened at the cost of $3 million. On March 22nd, the headquarters building of the Universal Insurance Company was opened in Enugu. On May 10th, the Nigerian gas factory was commissioned at Emene near Enugu. On May 16th, the aluminum factory at Port Harcourt was opened. On August 24th, the glass factory became operative in Port Harcourt. On October 18th, the asbestos cement factory was opened in Emene. On November 9, the foundation of the central bank was laid in Port Harcourt. On November 30th, the Golden Guinea Breweries was commissioned at Umuahia for the production of lager beer and allied products. On December 13, Hotel Presidential was opened at a whopping cost of 2 million British pounds. This burning fire for industrialization led to the establishment of the modern ceramic industry in Umuahia, textile mills at Aba and Onisha, and a shoe factory in Owerri. It was during this period that the first phase of the farm settlement scheme were established, namely at Olonna in Umuahia province, Ohaji in Owerri province, Igbaram in Onisha province, Boki in Oguja province, Ozowan in Enugu province, Abak in Anang province. Each was to accommodate over 5,000 farmers, and what was remarkable was the scrupulous effort for even spread of the settlements throughout the length and breadth of the entire Biafran region. A remarkable aspect of Dr. Okpara's industrialization plan was the collaboration and cooperation with foreign investors to undertake the large industries such as Michelin Tire Factory in Port Harcourt and Calago Cement Factory in present-day Ebonyi State. Okpara's long-term vision was that Port Harcourt, through Aba and Umuahia going to Enugu, would have developed into a globally significant industrial megapolis and conurbation. Eastern Nigeria would have been ahead of South Korea, Taiwan, Singapore, for indeed ahead of these success stories of the Biafran developmental ingenuity was not a flash in the pan during the Okpara regime. During the Civil War, the Biafran military assembled a cast of core engineers, scientists, agriculturalists, strategists, technologists, etc., to produce food, weapons, defense systems, and equipment for civil and military uses. They also had the mandate to produce other useful items that will help the people to survive and to give the military a better chance to win the war. This group assembled under the Research and Production RAP unit of the military. Some of them and the wonders they created include the following. Ben Chukwuka Nwosu, nuclear physicist. He was the overall head of RAP. Sylvester Kalonu, engineer, part of the team that developed the Ogbunigwe. Charlie Okafor, chemist, one of those that compounded solid smokeless rockets because the initial rockets fired had trails of smoke. Ngozi Okafor, chemist. Ago Organ, biochemist, helped to design some of the weapons and some antidotes for any eventual chemical attack on Biafra. Godian Ezekwe, engineer, was the head of the team that produced explosive weapons and rockets, especially Ogbunigwe. The weapons development revolved around this very soft-spoken gentleman. Clifford Ezilo, engineer, specialist in thermodynamics. He worked on the rockets also. Mark Chijioke, engineer, together with Ezekwe, made solid fuel for the rockets. C.O. Chiori, pharmacist and scientist. Edmond Kaine, engineer, rocket and weapons design. Oleka Udeala, pharmaceutical scientist, helped in creating pharmaceutical and other drugs as well as antidotes. Ebenezer Ekechukwu, engineer and the prime mover for the creation of the salt lake in Ozakoli. He helped to source the brine and salt cakes for that project. Edim Badiwe, biochemist. Martin Nwaji, chemist, designed the incendiary weapons that burned through tanks, armored tanks. Sam Agobua, chemist, synthesized writing ink, herbs with Fu Ekezie. Sam Agobua, biochemist, synthesized writing ink from herbs with Fu Ekezie. Emmanuel Anosike, biochemist. Chimeri Koku, chemist and the head of the Ozakoli group of RAP. Fabian Ekezie, technologist, rearmed spent bullets, synthesized vehicle fuel from alcohol, and created laboratory glasswares for the scientists and engineers. Also built silencers for guns with Agobua. FNC Orawu, nuclear physicist, headed a unit in RAP and was at the core of producing war machines for the military. Willie Achukwu, technical scientist, whose input helped in building Ogbunigwe. Fred Ozo, chemical technologist, ensured the laboratories worked at prime, and many others, including women. Now close your eyes with me for a moment, and let us imagine what Biafra would have looked like today. Do you now understand why we are fighting for the restoration of the Republic of Biafra? My name is Mazi Odogu. I come in peace.
Abram onye satara obula ọnụ kama na onye satara ọkanawa bem ka mụ na-aba obodo mo aja gwụrụ aja nwoke teghete ka mụ were nwayọ na-aba bem aga m ejili nwayọ na-aba ndụ m were nwayọ na-aba do adonide na dị m mma obodo ndị jego na-eme dị mma obodo ndị jego na-abịa obodo ala mana adịghị n'otu na-ewe m iwe ịmaga esemokwu na-agba m anya chimekwekwana chimekwena chimekwekwana ka ile ụmụnwa m bịanụ ka anyị were obi dozie ebe anyị ga-ewele pipe chọba ebudo memba ahụ na-abụ ọcha n'agba ahụ na-amụ okwu posterity ka mụ na-ebela akwa ọdịnihu nwanyị ga-ajụ anyị ajụjụ ibe anyị na-eme n'obi ji gbasasị ya ime anyị na-eme n'obi ji kwulo ọganiru n'obi na-asọ n'ụmụ nsọ ọdịmma nke n'obi na-echo m ụla onye na-eme mma na-emeli n'onwe ya na onye na-eme njọ na-emeli onwe ya ka anyị were obi dozie ebe anyị n'obi bịanụ were obi dozie ebe anyị akpamisi n'ọka gị ije na mmụọ akpamisi n'ọka n'ije na mmụọ mmiri ọgbụgbọ nọ n'aka mmụọ ọgwụgwọ mmiri n'aka mmụọ ọgwụgwọ na ọgbụgbọ n'ịmaligo ewu na-ewu ụwa na-atụrụ mmụọ ịmago n'ije n'ụwa na-ewe omela ọha n'obi bịa meelu m mma omela ọha n'obi bịa meelu m mma injinia Godoka fọnụrụ ibe m na-ekwu injinia Godoka fọnụrụ ibe m na-ekwu anyị ahụ na-ewu ụwa na-atụrụ mmụọ GOG wee zoko eze akụ nwafọ bịa gbala egwu ụlọ akụ nwafọ n'ụlọ egwu Ugochikeluba bịa n'ụlọ ibe m na-ekwu onye na-eme mma na-eme onwe ya ife anyị ahụ na-egwu ụwa na-atụrụ mmụọ annaba Sunday Mobu ka ibe ya onye tinye onye lọdịle Sonny Obuki bịa onye tinye onye osito gwago ọdịna nwata blese ekwulọbịa Managing Director Sol Investment Limited NNPC Enugu Simon Mokoli Ntuoyi Nwezinifite Chukwuka Onweje Nwasingwa Chika Best Chief Godfrey Bono Eze Dioramana Nnewi John Ezenwa onye Zuenze Uchie na Nnobi Obitus Ogbuefi nke Ibona Ugeze Chairman Aswa Gabon Lorenzo Obukibe ye Pianuwo Obukibe yo gadili gị mma Dona kamere nwite ego na Nnewi onye ọ gadili mmadụ Angus Nnachidenwa Akajiakụ Anamabao Joseph Ako Selibe Akunne Francis Egibo Eze Nwakibie Eze Egibo Eze Ego Yibo Eze Egibo Eze Ego Yibo Aka ekpuchi ọnwa na Nnobi gị bịa n'iyo nna kwelitozami n'ugbo aka ekpuchi ọnwa bịa zanụ m Tony Abala Ọkwụlọka Josephat Onwukeme Agụnwa SP Augustine Osudo Ọsakụ Francis Ogalue Obiugo Ifeanyi Menwa nwaanyị adịrị onwero n'isi Josephine Ogalue Sita nwaanyị onye ji ncha malụ Godwin Okafọ Edwin Emelone Osimiri nke mbụ Ugochi weta ka ma lie ya eli ife dị ọra na Nnobi Eyu Martins nwoke nkum n'obi onye ụgwọ lụchọgọ maka ụgbọ ji Emmanuel Uche kedu maka Imam Maneke Gaston Nigeria West Africa Greg Okonkwo Akunne Jokosi bịanụ n'ụlọ Charlie Okonkwo anyị bịa n'ụlọ egwu Asimonye mela Ati ejiri agwa kpuchelenyi Greg ejiri agwa balance Nwemebere Nnobi Peter Mmadeke Ọgaba ọnọ n'enyi n'Obeledu Uche Nzekwe Afụnwe Echeta Nna Powerful Investment sinko kanabo boromo. Pentecost idina kwese. Ago mena delwa. Jiyoba. Wati le melo na mwifeke piyo. Wati le melo na mwifeke piyo. Ramanu dike. Wadike na mwifeke. Wana fonfo wakulezi okom. Miki Jackie. Akulono na. Kendo electrica. Gwemwebe. Woko. Yetimwa. Sakayo. Gideonu. Adike delege. Sakayo.
This is Rose Ama coming to you from the Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra, BCB, bringing you news, cultural, educational, and children's programs. We offer you at the beginning of this year, 2021, words of wisdom. And here, wisdom before the voyage, Biafra. We have started hearing again the baying sounds of evil gongs, blasting their waves on main bellows in view of all at high noon, typifying all that is volcanic. The type that peels and denies a man his common sense, sending wrong messages. Usurugede, you must know, is a dance of sudden death. Now, why the mad rush to a crazy dance? Follow only the footpath with a single track. Bolt not the gates of open doors. Wisdom, they say, is an open gate. A hot soup is not what one sips in a real haste. How many times will a scorpion sting a man for him to know that a scorpion harbors a stinging tail? You, child, you are yet to learn. Can a man father a son before his own dad? Can the moon ever outshine the sun? Count your teeth with your own tongue and tread with care, for a mighty lion's gate does not hurt even a fly that is the anchor of his main brave. Not being on the spot brings wrong assumptions. That is the way of the land. That is the cap that has the eagle's plume. And now, innocent pain. Experience feel my skin while I shave the hairs of humiliation, loneliness, betrayal, delusion, after I watched my friends turn into foes. In my tormented and traumatized spirit of unspeakable terror, I found my heart covered with a memorial garment of dejection, injustice, and innocent pain. After the martyrdom of the early Christians and the killings of the innocent children, every heartbeat of my words stalked a monument of lived stories like a journal. I became not afraid of those rivers of blood transformed into a writer's ink, energizing me to record the atrocities of a world that rejected God and his creation. Every paragraph of my book introduced a new episode of a gruesome tale, terraced from the historical profile of the bloodthirsty, impetuous, and the tyrant Herod that had his sons suspected of treason killed. How Can I forget those killed by the violent people of yesterday and today? Many kidnapped, others beheaded, another shot to death with arrows, some sawed to pieces alive, while thousands were buried alive. Hidden in my unknown world, I observe no difference between darkness and shadow, delusion and despair. As my voice, lost to silence and tears, dripping my eyes like rain, turning my hope into doubt in a terrific climate of debate. In and out, I see my world crumble like the wall of Jericho as history repeats itself, urging me to intensify my prayers. Lord, welcome into your arms the innocent people of the world, victims of selfishness and hatred. This is Rosama. Thank you for listening. This is the Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra.
The spirit of freedom always stands out. The resolute ramrod, the mouthpiece of the freedom of a great nation, voice of the voiceless. Eloquent voice of our troubled souls. I then knew that God has descended around our solitary mantle. I perceived the powers of our great God, swirling around at close circles. I stood before him on barefoot, though I knew that the journey is about to commence in earnest. I woke up to see the tears on my two eyes, and I began to call on all the millions of our departed heroes and our departed nobles. Innocent Biafrans that were starved to death at tender age. I began calling on all the thousands that gave up their lives fighting Wantomanaki. For God has heard our agonizing cries. We are about to embark on that journey to the promised land. Exodus out of the land of bondage. That journey that emanated from the holy hills of Mount Horeb. Then I remembered Moses the stammerer, the voice God chose to deliver his message to his people. The non-eloquent voice that speaks volumes. I remember the rod that swallowed the wicked staffs of sorcerers, the iron rod of salvation. I remembered the divine wind that parted the great sea. I remembered the wind on the pipes of men at the vicinity of walls of Jericho, the whirlwind that breached the hardened walls of that great city. I remembered Gideon and his resolute few who stood firm against all odds. I remembered the single stone that brought down Goliath, the turbulent giant of the Philistines, in full view of his own king. I remembered them all. Then I knew that it is not the size of the dog in a fight, but the size of the fighting on the dog. We stand to achieve our aim, not with our carnal mind. Bear in mind that ship at sea has their sails driven only by viable wind. Our great God is right in front and trailing behind. Remain resolute. This is Ikechukwu Zerora of BCB. Right on time. Listen once again, noble Zimbas of our land, land of Africa, land of Biafra, brave of the bravest youth of the lands of Amalinze, most valiant nobles on his continent, strength that anchor the pillars of Hercules, land of Biafra, land of roaring lions. Can you hear the voice of freedom beckoning from the heart of his citadels? Can't you perceive his echoes outside the main gate? The wailing of his battle cry, stay firm and maintain your ranks. Prepare to march with the pillars of light, rays of the light of the rising sun. For over in the horizon hovers the banners of freedom. Shy not away, not from its noble call. Depart not from the scene of adjudication. Biafra now and forever. Ikechukwu Zerora of BCB.
Good morning and welcome to the first broadcast of this news magazine, Biri Kambiri, which in the English language translates to Live and Let Me Live Too. My name is Mazi Ugonaya Awele, bringing you this program from the Asian nation of Biafra. The best place to start every journey of life is at the beginning. I will title this in the first series, Biafra. Biafra is a name which describes all the peoples, tribes, ethnicities, and clans that are domiciled in the geographical area bounded at the east by the Cameroon Mountains, at the north by the ancient kingdom of Timbuktu, Kanem, and Borno kingdoms of northern Nigeria, to the west by the Benin Kingdom, and to the south by the Atlantic Ocean. This delineation does not seek sovereignty over present-day established nations. But as this work was researched, it seeks the ancient boundaries we found out that Biafra, or Biafra, spelled B-I-A-F-A-R, was the last place on earth to be fully understood by ancient explorers of the New World. The question is, how did we come to this conclusion? Here we go. Abraham Ortelius, who was born in the geographical area today known as Antwerp, in the territory of Netherlands, was born on 14th of April 1527 and lived till 28th of June 1598. He was a Bambantan cartographer, geographer, and cosmographer. He created the first modern atlas of the world known as Theatrum Orbis Terrarum, Theater of the World. His atlas was first published in the year 1570. The popularity and acceptance this document received was so overwhelming that it formed the major document of that time, was reprinted for the major kingdoms of the day. He was consequently appointed by King Philip II of Spain in 1575 as a geographer. But Abraham Ortelius' work were reproductions of snippets and compilations he gleaned from explorers. He used his learning to produce and adjust the maps in order to be accurate as per the knowledge of those days. These maps will be updated by him severally by dates and when explorer information and drawings were received. In that first map, the territory as described in the earlier description as Biafra was clearly marked out as explicitly placed, even though the entire exploratory world of that day have neither crossed the Sahara Desert nor connected the source and destination of River Niger. In that 1570 Theatrum Orbis Terrarium, the River Niger was drawn to connect from the Atlantic source at River Gambia to the Lake Chad, and further to join the lower Nile River as it turns towards the Central Africa, towards the Congos. In that 1570 map, the whole of Africa was still known as Ethiopia, with Nubia and Egypt the only well-known territories then. From this time, information from the empires of Mali, Timbuktu, Kanem replaced by Borno Empire, the Asante, the Songhai, and others only describe an unknown, impenetrable hinterland known as Biafra. Biafra as a word we may assume therefore means unknown, sinister, dreaded, fearful, strong, or dangerous in any one of those ancient languages of those neighboring empires listed above. The Portuguese, under repeated voyages authorized by Prince Henry the Navigator, have already started slave trading outposts in the territories of Gambia at the coast. Then Arab traders have steady dealings and Islamic conquest up to Mali from North America and towards Kanem Borno empires. But the unknown Eastern South Territory was still impenetrable, both because of its thick forest and the nature of its tribal people. To be clear on this point, let's look back. Ibn Battuta, of Moroccan origin, in the 1330s had traveled extensively to Egypt and Syria. That is one. In 1352, he journeyed across the Sahara from Morocco to Mali, where he lived for a year at the time of Mansa Soleimani. He lived in Mali the whole of 1352. His accounts must definitely have included the southern territories of the West African Biafra. Then we have Vasco da Gama, evidence from Portugal. Vasco da Gama lived from 1460 to 1528. He had traveled from Portugal around the South African Cape to India. On his journey, he stopped at different coasts, the coast of Cape Verde, Mozambique, and Mombasa. These were exploratory trips, both to find out resources and to connect with how does the world look like. At this time, the Portuguese were more of pirates than traders. The first of these explorers is those explorations authorized and funded by Henry the Navigator, Prince Henry the Navigator, from 1394 to 1460. Henry rose to prominence because of his business trips and expeditions down West African territories. His captains of pirates, of course, Henry himself sponsored but did not participate in these journeys of discovery. His pirates and captains conducted trade in slaves and agricultural produce along the coast. It is recorded that Henry's pirates only reached Sierra Leone coast at the time of his death. They only got to Sierra Leone, the coast of Sierra Leone, by the time Henry died in 1460. By this time, exploration into the West Africa by the Portuguese and other explorers continued. In the map used by Vasco da Gama, the entire West African coast was delineated as Ethiopia. From Cameroon to Ghana were all known as Western Ethiopia. Even though there could be seen, they would put kingdoms, represented by the seats of power in Ghana for Asante, Mali, Timbuktu. Along the chart, you see the Kanem, sometimes merged with the Borno Empire. And then we have the Nubian up to the Sudanese area. These kingdoms were existing, but they had not penetrated to bring either religion or trade extensively with Biafra. Then we can see the description of the people in the map. I'm talking about the map used by Vasco da Gama. You can see the description of people freely living in those areas. They were drawn, the maps, they were drawn. These are independent people, not nations. From these assertions, we can see that up to 1830, the map that identified correctly the territory of Biafra was drawn in 1570. But in the year 1795, Mungo Park embarked on his first journey to discover the source of the River Niger. So they come from the north, they get to the Lake Chad Basin, they stop Arab infiltration, Arab conquests, and trade. The Europeans come from the coast, they enter, but they do not move into the hinterland. So that territory was still unknown. At this time, the city of Timbuktu had become ruins. At the time Mungo Park embarked on this journey, the kingdom of Timbuktu have already gone in generations. It has become ruins of itself, following steady conquest and disintegration of the Mali Empire. Probably the origin of the name Biafra went with them into oblivion. At this time, there was still the unknown Christian kingdom purportedly ruled by a certain priest king, John Preston. Yet the world map still drew the Niger as a continuous river that went all the way to the Lake Chad and onwards to the Nile. Mungo Park fell in and had to abandon the journey at Silla and return back to London. His second journey terminated at Busa, where he was killed by native warriors of Biafra. This fact is very important when we realize that at Busa, Mungo Park had entered the territories, the uncharted territories, unknown, dangerous, fearful, sinister, dreaded stronghold of the Biafra. Busa is the territory of the Ife and Yoruba kingdom. There is Benin and then Biafra. It will not but be in the year of 1823 that Hugh Clapperton and Richard Lander saw the Lake Chad. They were the first Europeans to do so, and in 1825, they returned and entered River Niger from the coast, from the Bight of Biafra. Richard Lander was to trace the River Niger from the Bight of Biafra to Gambia. That was when the map was now fully completed. That is 1825. But that territory has already been described as Biafra in 1570. Therefore, we are back to our earlier assertion that Biafra, or Biafra as it was later to be known, is a territory that remained for a long time unknown, falsely ascribed as sinister, dangerous, fearful for most of 4 centuries, from 1430 to 1830. The coast was not physically impenetrable because at those times, colonial Europe were very active, scrambling for resources and slaves. They were very active, exchanging valueless pieces of metal and glass for choice lands and slaves. Biafra was mostly impenetrable because the peoples of Biafra were very different from many other peoples of Africa. Biafra, from the eye of an European, who was even as is a priest and missionary, but a spy for the colonial political power, can be seen in the work of Manuel Alvarez, who lived between 1526 to 1583. That is another early source of the use of the word Biafra. He was a priest, and so he referred to the people of Biafra as heathens. He extensively identified the same region as in the map of the 1570s. He went on to describe the environment of West Africa, the peoples of West Africa and their behavior, their way of life, their food, and practically everything about him in his book, Ethiopia Minor and the Geographical Account of the Province of Sierra Leone. That is the title of his book, Ethiopia Minor and a Geographical Account of the Province of Sierra Leone. As it was known prior to 1500, Ethiopia was well known to the whole world to the old world. Prior to 1500, Ethiopia was well known, and Nubia, Syria, Sudan was well known to the world. So most of his work, Manuel Alvarez, most of his work compared the nations he met, the peoples he met in his missionary journey. So many of the observations of Manuel Alvarez were comparisons with the people of Ethiopia. This means he was comparing Egyptians, Nubians, Moroccans, Mozambique, and all other nations at the coast of Africa with the Sierra Leone territories where he lived against observations with the Biafran. You will see why I separated it, because he found out that where he's living in the territory of Sierra Leone, the Mandingos, they are almost the same. He said that they're the same with the Nubians, the same with the Ethiopians, but he will single out the Biafrans as being exceptionally different. I will use his words for you to see. The most intriguing thing is that all of his observations and writings told that only the Biafrans were different in every way. Now, we must warn you, his writings are very graphic and specific. So be ready for what he says. About geography of the territories of Biafra. He said, Manuel Alvarez discussed in details comparing Biafra territories to Asia and Europe. He mentioned the weather, the fertility of the land, and then related this to the nature of the people that were natural inhabitants of the area. Let me quote him here. I quote, "It clearly follows that merely in terms of possessing such features, most favorable and healthy land is that of our Biafran hidden, to which the particular requirement we have pointed out all apply." So he unquote. According to this quote, he mentioned the territories of Europe, the snow, the fertility of the land, the seasons. Then he again mentioned Asia, India, how the land is, the weather. But then he compared it to Biafra. He said, "It clearly follows," a quote again, "it clearly follows that merely in terms of possessing such figures, most favorable and healthy land is that of our Biafra hidden, to which the particular requirement we have pointed out all apply," unquote. So that Biafran land, most favorable and healthy land is Biafran land. So our land, according to this report, was the best land in all the known world. Sorry. As at 1583, when he died. We assume the said book was published because the said book was published in 1615. So why would he describe Biafran land in these terms? He did this to encourage the West to come down and occupy the best land in the whole world. Why will he describe Biafran land and territories as being the most favorable and healthy land on earth? He was telling the colonial, remember, he's a priest, he's a missionary. He came supposedly to minister to the people to save their spiritual lives. But he is telling the whole world that the land of the East is the best land in the whole world. So he is writing, inviting the West to come and take over the land. Let's go on. Alvarez went on to discuss the food crops we grow. He described the physical features of the peoples as both fair and dark-skinned. He said the Biafrans are both fair and dark-skinned, broad-shouldered, tall and very strong. Then let me quote, "The skills of the inhabitants, some are very hardworking, as well as being well-disposed. It has been claimed that the people of Biafra are astounding in their disposition, which might be gathered from what the Lord has written upon their physical features. For these people has the most handsome features throughout West Ethiopia." It's not only that we have the best land in the world, these people has the most handsome features throughout West Ethiopia, unquote. We have intimated you that in the time Alvarez lived, the entire West African territory is known as West Ethiopia. So he was saying that the Biafrans have the best land. They are broad-shouldered, they are tall, they are strong, they are well-disposed, they are very intelligent, and they are the most handsome. They have the most handsome features throughout West Ethiopia. Subsequently, Alvarez went on to praise us at the same time, but debase and dehumanize the Biafrans. So I'm coming down to exactly what I want you to understand. They will tell you what is in your land. They will tell you how the people are. Then the next thing is what is going to make them dispossessors of this land? After saying that we are strong, we are graceful, we are intelligent, we are handsome, our land is the best in the world, then why do you need to take us out of our natural land? This is where he's coming. See? Subsequently, Alvarez went on to praise us, at the same time debase and dehumanize the Biafrans. He singularly separated the Biafrans from the other ethnicities of West Africa when he stated, and I quote, the Sierra Leone form of bringing up their children and their social discipline are the same as those of other inhabitants of Ethiopia, but those of Biafrans are more refined. Where he is living, the Nimba, the Mandingo, the Ife, the Songa Empire, they have very good, they are very nice people. Their method of upbringing is good. Their social discipline is the same as the whole of Ethiopia, but those of the Biafrans are more refined, unquote. Let me quote it again. Sierra Leone form of bringing up their children and their social discipline are the same as those of the other inhabitants of Ethiopia, but those of the Biafrans are more refined, unquote. He then went on to describe Biafrans as liars. Do you know why he would describe Biafrans as liars? Because we are a cunning people versed in using our intense scrutiny of our opponent's face to read their minds correctly and then position ourselves to the best advantage during negotiation, in conflicts, and in every of our affairs. So he told the Europeans, Biafrans are liars. Why did he say we are liars? Because we are a cunning people, according to him, that we are versed in the art of using our scrutiny of our opponents first. We can look at our opponents and read their minds correctly, and then we position ourselves to the best of an advantage during negotiations, in conflict, and in every of our daily lives. So he will tell them, these people are very clever. This is what you have. Instead of saying that they are very wise, he said they are liars. Then he said that we are calculating. Why did he say that we are calculating? That we are able to plan, to prepare, to design strategies and defeat the Europeans at their own game. That is why he said that we are calculating. Listen, he said that we are liars, we are calculating, and that we are evil. Why did he say we are evil? Because he said that the Biafrans are vengeful and they have very long memories. They can remember and they will redress wrongs done to them. So you see where his writings are going. He wants our land, but he wants a reason to take out these people from this land and occupy the land. Clearly, his words are these words are his, and what his hosts in the Nimba and Mandingo and Ife and Songa Empire thought of us. So it's not only he wrote, because he may have limited knowledge and sojourn in the area, especially going from the territories he had, the Gambian and Sierra Leone area, to Biafra entirely. So he was reporting what he has received from the empires of Songhai, the Nimba, the Mandingo, and the Ife and the Benin Empire. So someone like Manuel Alvarez called us liars. He said we are evil and calculating. But brace yourself for the highest point of his description of Biafra. That was not the highest. The highest description of Biafra is when he said he clearly follows that in possessing such features, the most favorable and healthy land is that of our Biafra hidden. He described Biafra as an earthly paradise, but which his people would tenaciously defend at all costs. He said they are the best people, they are best land, but the people will hold it strong. The people will not let go of the land. Ours, Biafra is ours. Ours. It is our own. It is the region on earth that everybody wants to dispossess us of since the time of the North culture. It is ours. It is ours. It is Obunkani. It is our homeland. Our detractors, our enemies will abandon their own with the aim of acquiring our own. It is our own, my brothers and sisters. Biafra Bunkan. It is ours, it's our nation. It is blessed by Chukwokika Biama, by an equally physical dilution of character. We have everything. Equal physical dilution of character, nature, maturity, and wisdom. We have it in Biafra. It is ours. We didn't borrow it. It is in our gene, the quality of which is second to none. We didn't acquire it, we inherited it. It is us. We must be even. As we are letting the entire world be, we must live. We must live and ask them to let us live. In our next session on this channel, we shall commence the first of two parts, Biafran Encounter with the Toeless Being. That is the title of the next section of this magazine, Biafran Encounter with the Toeless Being. Thanks for listening. I remain your brother and friend, Ugonaya Awele, Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra. Good morning.
Nnameza akpata menyi, Nnameza akpata menyi, Mwambe isine patonye, Mwambe isine patonye, Nasi manu nyadu benyi chebenyi, Odika sina akpata menyi, Nasi manu nyadu benyi chebenyi, Odika sina akpata menyi. Akwenyi ga-abụ isi oche, akwenyi ga-abụ isi oche, enyi na-aga na isoghị n'azụ, enyi na-aga na isoghị n'azụ. Na-asị ma nịnya chebe enyi, ọ dịgasị na-abata m enyi. Na-asị ma nịnya chebe enyi, ọ dịgasị na-abata m enyi. Akwa enyi ga-abụ isi oche, akwa enyi ga-abụ isi oche, enyi na-aga na isoghị n'azụ, enyi na-aga na isoghị n'azụ, gwọgwọgwọ ngwọ, gwọgwọgwọ ngwọ, gwọgwọgwọ ngwọ, gwọgwọgwọ ngwọ, ige ntị, gwọgwọgwọ ngwọ. Ị ga-anụ ka esi wee lee onye isi oche ka a na-akpọ chairman. Nnameza akpata m enyi, Nnameza akpata m enyi, Nwambe isi na-ekpata onye, Nwambe isi na-ekpata onye. Na-asị ma nịnya dube enyi chebe enyi, ọ dịgasị na-akpata m enyi. Na-asị ma nịnya dube enyi chebe enyi, ọ dịgasị na-akpata m enyi. Akwa enyi ga-abụ isi oche, akwa enyi ga-abụ isi oche, enyi na-aga na isoghị n'azụ enyi na-aga na isoghị n'azụ na-asị ma anịnya chebe enyi ọ dịgasị na-apụta m enyi na-asị ma anịnya dube enyi chebe enyi ọ dịgasị na-apụta m enyi enyi na-aga na isoghị n'azụ enyi na-aga na isoghị n'azụ gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ Adaeze ka dibịa katalụ bịakatalụ gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ onye enu bịa gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ onye a na-ebịa ọjụ gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ anụ enu abịa gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ anụ a na-abịa ọjụ gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ o wee luo ofu mbọsị nna ya wee kpọọ ya gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ eze gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ kpọọ ya kpọọ nne kpọọ nwee ndị ọzọ gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ wee sị kedu ife kpatara nụ gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ di nke izizi abịa eju nke igbo abịa eju nke ịta abịa eju nke na-abịa eju gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ ya chọkwa ụmụnne niile gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ na onye bi esoro nwoke na-ala nwaanyị adụ gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ ọ na-adịkwanụ mma nọkata gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ onye isi nwụnọ gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ ọ bụrụ nna kpọkọ nne kpọkọ ụmụaka gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ fa niile agbakọba nwee nzukọ gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ onye ọbụla ekwu ebe na-egbu ya onye ọbụla ekwu gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ maka na ọ na-amaka ebe a ka ụmụaka na onwe vazibe na-aghọta onwe va nne a na-aghọta nna na-aghọta ụmụaka gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ ka fa nweziri nzukọ afa nwere gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ oge a ka Adaeze jibe meghe ọnụ gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ wee sị na onye ọbụla bụ onye ga-anụ ya ọ ga-akpụtaliri enyi gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ ka ọ ga-abụrụ onwe emume a na-ebe na befe ahụ ka ya rigolo enu enyi anyị na-agagharị amarụkwe na ya bụ Adaeze gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ nna m eze akpata m enyi nna m eze akpata m enyi nwambe ese na-ịkpata onye nwambe ese na-ịkpata onye naanị manụ ya dube enyi chebe enyi ọ dịgasị na-akpata m enyi na-asị manụ ya dube enyi chebe enyi ọ dịgasị na-akpata m enyi akwa enyi ga-abụ isi oche akwa enyi ga-abụ isi oche enyi na-aga na isoghị n'azụ enyi na-aga na isoghị n'azụ na-asị ma anịnya chebe enyi ọ dịgasị na-akpata m enyi na-asị ma anịnya dube enyi chebe enyi ọ dịgasị na-akpata m enyi akwa enyi ga-abụ isi oche akwa enyi ga-abụ isi oche enyi na-aga na isoghị n'azụ enyi na-aga na isoghị n'azụ gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ gbọgbọgbọ ngwọ oge na-ekwu ife a niile mbe na onwe ejego okwu nya nwatakịrị nwa achụwa n'ukwu elu a mbe na enyi bụ ezigbo anyị mbe wee kulie jebe na be enyi wee je ga-agwa enyi si ala eze ga-agbakwa n'ọfala eze ga-agba ọfala eze sikwu nyazie ya nọ nge ga-agwa onye isi oche enyi wee si mgbe nyapụke n'ife okwu ọzọ ọsịa na eze si ya je ga-ezie na ya ga-agba ọfala na nke ibe enyi ga-abụ onye isi oche ya na mbọsị ị ga-eme ya bụ ife na achọkwa ka achọ ya achọ nọ nke ga onye kwọra ndị ga-abịanụ ọjị enyi ṅụrịchachachasịa maka na ọ na-achọburu ụzọ oge ezigbo elu na be eze nso ka ọ ma na nya ga-enwe ike ji okwu adaeze nụ nna m eze akpata m enyi nna m eze akpata m enyi nwambe isi na-ekpata onye nwambe isi na-ekpata onye na-asị ma nịnya chebe enyi ọ dịka sị na-akpata m enyi na-asị ma nịnya dube enyi chebe enyi ọ dịka sị na-akpata m enyi akwa enyi ga-abụ isi oche akwa enyi ga-abụ isi oche enyi na-aga na isoghị n'azụ enyi na-aga na isoghị n'azụ na-asị ma nịnya dube enyi chebe enyi ọ dịgasị na-akpata m enyi na-asị ma nịnya dube enyi chebe enyi ọ dịgasị na-akpata m enyi akwa enyi ga-abụ isi oche akwa enyi ga-abụ isi oche enyi na-aga na isoghị n'azụ enyi na-aga na isoghị n'azụ gbọgbọgbọ ka ba kparịsịsị ya bụ nkata bụ mbe na enyi mbe wee naba wee je ga-agwa m eze si ya na mbọsị ya ga-abịa okwu ada eze wee si ya nnukwu ibe adị ya kwuru ọsị ya nga ekwusikwanye ya ike nga rapụ ya bịazịa ife nya ọfụrụ ka chi mbọsị ya lụzie mbe wee jekwuru enyi tupu o jee na be enyi chi agbagonitasi igo anwụ ekesibego ike enyi si ya mbe kesi ka isi were abịa kịta ebe nwa sị na ya ga-abụ isi oche ka ọ ga-abụ nya lukwu ọ bụ na ya jere n'oge ebe na iji na-eme mbe si agba nkịtị na ba ga-ejesi ike enyi si ya ngwa 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 ya kwado ka ba jebe ejebe n'otegoli eli ụtụtụ ka ya yisi jikwarịchachachasị ya na-eche ka ọ bịa mbe si ya na ọ bụrụ n'ije ha na-ejezi n'ụzọ enyi si mbe ya gasibe n'ike na afadem ejesikwa n'ike na kwa gafa anọkwa n'ụzọ ebe nwe na-eme ndị mmadụ anasị wee bụrụ ya bụ na ejepụta ya bụ ife enyi na fa ekwu mbe wee kpọọ enyi si na ọma nkwụ nke ya bụ enyi karịrị nke ogologo ọ gakọtara ya na-echetụ ya nwatịntị enyi wee kpọọ mbe si anyị na-echezukwa ya ga na-agasi ike mbe wee si enyi ya biko ka ya ligolu n'azụ ya nụ enyi wee si anyị ga-aligo n'azụ ya gị gasị ike ma ọsịsọ ligolu n'azụ ya ka fa jebe ọsịsọ mba magolu mee ụkwụ tịkọm ka ọ magolu n'azụ enyi o wee kpọọ enyi si anọ ọfụgo na ukwu etoro ogologo nke ịmago na ya azụ ya bụ enyi biko ka e welu n'elili anyị achị n'aka wee kedo enyi n'onu ka mkpụrụ ya bụ na ya ejide aka wee rigoro n'azụ enyi ka abụọ wee na-aga enyi si ya nke ị na-eme ngị ma ọsịsọ ka ba jebe ejebe n'oge na ba aga mbe wee were ụdọ ọnụ wee kedo enyi n'onu wee rigoro n'azụ enyi kaka na-akpụdebezi be m eze nso mbe wee wenye onu nna m eze akpata m enyi nna m eze akpata m enyi enyi si anyị sị gịnị nwambe isi na ịkpata onye nwambe isi na ịkpata onye mbe si ya mba na-asị ma anịnya chebe enyi ọ dịkasị na-akpata m enyi na-asị ma anịnya chebe enyi ọ dịkasị na-akpata m enyi akwa enyi ga-abụ isi oche akwa enyi ga-abụ isi oche enyi na-aga na isoghị n'azụ enyi na-aga na isoghị n'azụ na-asị ma anịnya chebe enyi ọ dịgasị na-akpata m enyi na-asị ma anịnya dube enyi chebe enyi ọ dịgasị na-akpata m enyi akwa enyi ga-abụ isi oche akwa enyi ga-abụ isi oche enyi na-aga na isoghị n'azụ enyi na-aga na isoghị n'azụ gbọgbọgbọ ife a ka enyi dọgidelu ebe ọ na-adọga ije gbogogogogo nke nye ga-abụ n'isi oche chairman eze mbe weluzie na be eze wee were ụdọ n'ochi n'aka enye eze n'aka si ana mfe ji wee bịa ịnụ ada anyị nwaanyị ya bụ ndị be anyị unu ga-ama na oyimuduga m ozi na ife ya bụ ị na-edugakwa mmadụ ozi uche ihe dịkwu ya nna m eze akpata m enyi nna m eze akpata m enyi nwambe isi na-ịkpata onye nwambe isi na-ịkpata onye na-asị ma anịnya chebe enyi ọ dịkasị na-akpata m enyi na-asị ma anịnya dube enyi chebe enyi ọ dịkasị na-akpata m enyi.
Announcing the end of the day's broadcast. This is Ikechukwu Ezeriora of BCB. Have a wonderful new year.
Oh yes, BCB, Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra. Welcome to BCB, the people's voice, the people square. Freedom is our drive. Freedom is our quest. Freedom is our dream. A lot has been happening lately, and we are here to present you with the truth, the absolute truth, the voice of the people that you will never hear anywhere else. Come join us come one, come all, irrespective of your affiliation in the struggle, your voice is here. BCB, the people's voice. Freedom is strive. Freedom is our quest. Freedom is our dream. BCB. Stay tuned for the people's voice.
Land of the rising sun, we long and cherish, beloved home, land of our brave heroes. We must defend our lives, so we shall perish. We shall protect our hearts from all our foes. But if the price is death for all withholding, then let us die without a shred of fear. Hail to Biafra, consecrated nation. Oh, Fatherland, this be my sworn defending thee shall be our dedication. Spirit, my blood will count our privilege. The waving stands and reachable is the free shall always be our flag of liberty.
Daddy, like the saying goes, we came, we saw, we perceived, and we conquered. Having assimilated all the great informations for today's broadcast in your mouthpiece you have created for your people, BCB, the Biafra Broadcasting Corporation, Papa, we say thank you. As we close to lay our souls to assimilate everything we have learned through this broadcast, it's only you that can preserve. Preserve us, prepare our mind with fresh ideas for another new day. Thank you, Papa, for all the good things you have done and the great information you have passed on to us. And we shall forever remain grateful to you. In the name of Chi Okike, we have prayed. Amen.